Hey, how are you? I'm Chris Robin, aka at Detroit Beastie, here with Team Riserfall to talk about Monday Night Football. And holy smokes, do we have a game on our hands here tonight? Buffalo travels to Ohio to take on the Cincinnati Bengals. Kickoff is at 8:30 p.m. And I know there's a ton of seasonal championship games just teetering on the edge with the outcome of this game. I know there is a ton of DFS love and excitement and that nervousness and butterflies across the board. This game has the potential to be special, and it will be. It's going to create a lot of fantasy football champions of us, but for DFS purposes, how many of us can make some money? How many of us can get rich from this game? A little over dramatic, but hey, you know what you're going to get when we're talking Monday Night Football here with Beastie on Team Riser Fall. Before I get into my favorite, plays and over-unders and stuff like that, some betting trends, make sure you go to the website at Team Riser Fall. When you get there, use promo code Beastie. You're going to get $10 off your first month of premium services, and that unlocks everything. You get a voucher that rolls over Fantasy Cruncher month to month. You can crunch until your heart is content. Also, lets you in on the Study Hub, the Discord, all the little free shows and broadcasts leading up to NBA Lock, Cores for Hockey. I mean, everything across the board is here at Team Riser Fall. Be there or be square, but hey, use promo code Beastie when you get there. All right, let's talk about this football game, shall we? As I was saying, this game has the potential to make a champions out of a lot of us in seasonal formats, dynasty formats. And what about us that just strictly play DFS and we bet and we do the over-unders and player props and stuff like that? This game is where we're going to want to be. And again, it's the last game of Week 17. Week 18 is on the horizon. The regular season is ticking away here. So to me, Buffalo at Cincinnati has the, man, oh man, this game is going to be good. So let's just start with, when we look at Cincinnati, they've actually reeled off 7 wins in a row. They're going for 8, and they look pretty damn good right now in the AFC. And to me, this could be a repeat of, this could be like a little early preview of the AFC Championship game. But you're probably going, well, where's Kansas City going? You know, AFC is wound really tight, right? Buffalo, Cincinnati, Baltimore still in there, even though they lost to Pittsburgh. But Kansas City's in that mix big time as well. But to me, right now, Buffalo looks amazing. They're 12-3. They're riding a 6-game winning streak as well. They beat the brakes off of Chicago on Saturday, on the day before Christmas last week. And when we look at Cincinnati here, same thing. They've reeled off 7 straight victories. Joe Burrow, 4,260 total passing yards, 34 touchdowns, just played himself into the MVP kind of conversation here. But that is all well and good. I have a great final score, some good betting trends, but let's start with the players, right? Let's talk about Josh Allen. When we look at Josh Allen, Cincinnati, 6th overall against opposing quarterbacks here. But Josh Allen he's one of those guys. I would even lump Joe Burrow into that, right? Where we talk about DVP, doesn't matter for these guys. It's just kind of, I just say that. It's just a commonality in the videos where I give you a little DVP, I give you the price tags. But to me, that has no bearing in this game in terms of the quarterbacks here. Josh Allen, $17,000 on FanDuel, 11-4 on DK. When you look at Josh Allen, 24 completions, 260 yards, 7-8 carries for another 40 yards. And I do think that his floor here tonight, Josh Allen's floor, is 2 touchdowns, whether they're in the air, on the ground, a mixture of both. Josh Allen's floor is 2 touchdowns. Can he get to 3? Can he get to 4? That is going to be the sneaky, beautiful part of this game. When we go down the list, we'll talk about Joe Burrow. Right now, Buffalo, very good, top 3. They're actually 3rd overall against opposing quarterbacks. Burrow, 16 grand on FanDuel, $10,800 on DK, 2 touchdowns as well, the floor of 2 touchdowns at least, 28 completions. This guy's going to be chucking the rock all game. 280 total yards, 4 or 5 carries for around another 20 yards. So again, I've always done these single game slate videos, and I've preached a few things, preach things that I do, not trying to put any my mess or what I got going on you. But to me, fading these quarterbacks, it's not a smart move. But if we want to fit both of these quarterbacks in, you can say goodbye to stacking them with Jamar Chase and Tyler Boyd. And we're going to be left with playing what, like Mitch Wilcox, Reggie Gilliam, maybe even the kicker. So it's not half bad in a big time GPP, but we have to be smart and we have to be cool and concise dice with where we put our guys here if we want to stack up Josh Allen with Diggs, with Gabe Davis. Same thing with Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase, even Hurst would be a good move as well. When we look at the running backs, Devin Singletary, James Cook, when we go there, Cincinnati right now 9th overall against opposing running backs. One thing you're going to notice, a theme in this video here, both of these teams are at the top of their game and they're playing Monday night. I mean, that's no secret where both of these teams are at this moment in time and where they're headed, into the postseason, into January, February, maybe Super Bowls that is around that same time. But when we look at, again, as I said, Cincinnati 6th against quarterbacks, Buffalo 3rd against quarterbacks, Cincinnati 9th against running backs, and Buffalo 8th against running backs. And then, I mean, even the wide receivers and tight ends, it's going to be a tight game, but I do see, just an explosion of points. What more would we expect from Joe Burrow and Josh Allen? Where was I? Devin Singletary, 10-5 on FanDuel, $7,000 on DK. Devin looking at 9-10 carries, 40 yards, 2 to 3 receptions, 20 yards. Will he give way to James Cook maybe? 7-8 carries, 30 yards, 2-3 receptions, 15 yards. I could see a case here where both Devin Singletary and James Cook can coexist together. Actually, that is no secret. They've kind of done that these last few weeks, but let's say like week 15, going back to week 14, let's say 14, 15, 16, those weeks, I kind of projected James Cook at getting more usage than Devin Singletary just out of habit, right? Because it's getting later in the season. Buffalo's already punched their ticket. They're in. And do they want to kind of spread around these targets and touches to other guys, not to put so much tread on one guy, Devin Singletary's tires? So let's mix in James Cook, who at the beginning of the season started off slow. He wasn't even active. And then he had fumble issues, if I'm not mistaken. And finally, this kid has come into his own. And I think we're just scratching the surface with James Cook. So to me, Singletary and Cook, stack them both up in the same line. I have no issue. When we look at the Bengals running backs here, Joe Mixon, Samaje Perine, I'll always have feelings for Samaje Perine because if you remember a few weeks ago, for a few weeks in a row, Samaje Perine hung tight, man. He was very good for us in seasonal formats and in DFS formats, bottom of the barrel. He filled in very admirably for Joe Mixon. But let's talk about Mixon briefly. Buffalo, 8th overall against opposing running backs. Mixon, $12,000 on FanDuel, $9,000 on DK. Mixon, 13, 14 carries, 55 to 60 yards, 4 or 5 receptions for another 30 yards. That is beautiful. And I have Mixon to find the end zone. That's no secret. I'm not saying anything profound, right? When we look at Samaje Perine, 5-6 carries, 20 yards. That's what? If you had 5 carries, 20 yards, that's like 4 yards a clip. And with 2-3 receptions for another 20 yards. So again, between Joe Mixon and Samaje Perine, if we add this stuff up, we're looking at 80. Now we're looking at like 120, 130 all-purpose yards if we stack up the Cincinnati Bengals running backs. When we look at the Buffalo running backs all-purpose yards, you're looking at 60, 90. You're looking at around 110, 115 here. So again, you can mix and match as you'd like, but I would prefer James Cook and maybe even a little bit of Samaje Perine. And I don't want to get any nonsense or catch any heat when I say I'd rather have James Cook and Samaje Perine. What are you doing with Mixon? You're a dummy. No, that's not the case. Joe Mixon is going to have a great game. That's not the point here. But when we look at price tags here, Mixon $12,000 on FanDuel, Perine $8,000. You can save $4,000. So if you're going to stack Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase, where are we going to find some salary relief here? And it'll be in Samaje Perine. So again, of course, I'm going to have lineups with Devin Singletary and Joe Mixon. But in these big GPPs, we have to think outside the box. If we've learned anything, or if I have been lucky to have taught you anything here, it's let's look at those secondary players in single game slates. What's the worst that can happen? We lose $4 or $5, $10, whatever it is. Let's talk about the receivers. That's where the action is in this game. Let's be honest with ourselves here. Stephon Diggs, $13,000 on FanDuel, 10-4 on DK. You're looking at Cincinnati 13th overall against opposing wide receivers. Diggs 9-10 targets. Oh yeah, 6-7 receptions, 75 to 80 yards, and a touchdown reception. That one, some of these player projections I did it's as easy as it gets. It's as smooth as butter. Stephon Diggs, touchdown. Jamar Chase, touchdown. Joe Mixon, touchdown. So we can really get a good anytime touchdown parlay going here. We look at Gabe Davis, $11,000 on FanDuel, 6-4 on DK. No, I have no issue with Gabe Davis, but when you look at what he's done, last I looked, Gabe Davis averaging like 20-something yards a reception, and he's only catching 3 or 4 passes a game, and that's fine. I have Gabe Davis, 6-7 targets, 3 or 4 receptions, for like a floor. I wouldn't say floor, but right around that 60-yard mark. So, only going to catch 3 passes here, but 20 yards a clip. You do the math, 3 times 3 is 6, 3 times 2 is 5, and boom, that's what we get for the overall output for Gabe Davis. Isaiah McKenzie, Khalil Shaker, the rookie kid. Where are we going to go there? I would prefer McKenzie, 7.5 on FanDuel, 2.8 on DK, and the only reason I would prefer McKenzie is because he's been in there, right? I'm not saying that Khalil hasn't been, but sometimes with these stud quarterbacks like Josh Allen or Joe Burrow, there's a major trust factor. I'm not saying that I don't know the relationship between Josh Allen and a guy like rookie Khalil, but to me, Isaiah McKenzie has shown flashes. He's trusted. His hands are firm. His hands are tight. If Josh Allen puts the ball on him, Isaiah McKenzie will catch that, and that's a pecking order thing. That's an offensive pecking order, and there's that trust there. When we look at Isaiah, 3-4 targets, 3-4 receptions, I think McKenzie he can be perfect here tonight, and by that I mean 4 targets, 4 catches, 3 targets, 3 catches, and so on. I'm sure you get that. 30 to 35 yards. When we look at the Cincinnati Bengals wide receivers, this is the one and only spot to me where we can really attack this sucker based on DVP, based on the Buffalo Bills secondary. They're 23rd overall against defending opposing wide receivers. And truth be told, between us and what I'm going to say, you already know here, Buffalo could be first overall against defending opposing wide receivers, and that still wouldn't matter for the likes of Jamar Chase or T. Higgins and Tyler Boyd. That trio is just so powerful. They're so strong that they're like the Avengers. They can do anything. So when you say that Buffalo 23rd overall, I mean that gives me the warm and fuzzies. That opens our eyes. Hey, we're here. Jamar Chase, 14 grand on FanDuel, 10-6 on DK. I have Chase, 10-11 targets, 7-8 receptions, 100 yards, and that's a floor. Let's be honest here. And Jamar Chase to score a touchdown as well. Easiest stat line easiest player projection I've ever had to do, unless Barry Sanders was playing. That would be the easiest one. But right now, give me Jamar Chase. T. Higgins, 11.5 on FanDuel, 9.8 on DK, looking at 8-9 targets, 5-6 receptions, 65 to 70 yards. Tyler Boyd, 9 grand on FanDuel, 5 grand on DK, 5-6 targets, 3-4 receptions, around 35 to 40 yards here. And this kid Trenton Irwin has popped up, and you're going to see a few targets, 1 or 2 targets, 1 or 2 receptions. I'm thinking, anywhere between 10 and 12 to 15 yards, something in that range. And he is as good as cheap as it, not good yet, at least. I don't know Irwin here, but as cheap as it gets, 7 grand on FanDuel, 4.4 on DK. Let's talk about the tight ends, give you some betting trends, and we'll get the heck out of here. 12 minutes, gone and over, and like that quick. Dawson Knox, 9.5 on FanDuel, 4.8 on DK. Get this, Cincinnati, 19th overall against opposing tight ends. So we know where to attack this game from a Bengals standpoint, and this is where we attack it from the Buffalo Bills side of things because of the Cincinnati Bengals 19th overall DVP against tight ends. Dawson Knox, 5-6 targets, 4 or 5 receptions, 45 or 50 yards. Is this going to be one of those games where a lot of us are counting on Josh Allen and Stephon Diggs, maybe even Gabe Davis in seasonal formats to win a championship, and it's going to be the game where James Cook goes nuts for a couple touchdowns, or it's even Dawson Knox goes for 2-3 touchdowns. Something wild is bound to happen in this game because as it stands right now, going all the way back to maybe earlier in the week, yesterday, Friday, however you want to put it, I've seen a lot of folks walking around saying, oh, I got this game, Buffalo at Cincinnati down so cold. This is what's going to happen. ABC, we're going to get to XYZ. It's going to be beautiful. That's how it's going to go. When's the last time any of us, you, me, sat down and made notes and went over a game and go, I know how this is going to go. It's going to go exactly how I think it's going to go, but it never happens that way. Same thing in our life. We wake up in the morning and go, I'm going to have a perfect day. I got a meeting. I'm going to have lunch with my friend. I'm going to go home. And it never happens that way. And then we get all bummed out and pissed and resentful. So I'm telling you now, if you think you got this game down cold, you don't. Something crazy is going to happen, and is it going to be James Cook that sends us off the deep end? I think, to be fair, it could be Dawson Knox that goes nuts here. So let's pay attention to Knox. Reggie Gilliam, I'm not too worried about. Hayden Hurst, glad he's back, but this Buffalo 2nd overall against opposing tight ends here. Hayden Hurst, 7.5 on FanDuel, 3 grand on DK. When we look at the kickers, both of them are in play given the the gravity of this game. I was trying to find a word, levity, so I don't even know if that's a word here, but Tyler Bass, 8-5 on FanDuel, 4-2 on DK. Evan McPherson, $8,000 on FanDuel, $4,000 on DK. Both perfect on the night in terms of extra points, field goals, things along those lines. When we look at the DSTs, Bills, Bengals, I mean, both have a role here, obviously, but I have Cincinnati winning this game 28-23. So again, people think of DST, well, I'm going to play the Bills DST, but they're going to lose and give up 28 points. That's only a small microcosm, statistic. When we look at this thing, we want to look at sacks and forced fumbles and interceptions and stuff. I have the Bills 3 to 4 sacks, Bengals 2 to 3 sacks, each team with an interception, but I have the Bengals with that one extra turnover that might turn the tide on the entire game and could really do us in if we don't have the Bengals in our DFS line. So here's some recent betting trends. I'm reading them for the first time, even though I wrote them down last night. Bills 1-4 against the spread against a team with the winning record. The Bengals 5-0 against the spread their last 5 home games. Under 7-1 in the Bills' last 8 road games, and the under is 6-2 the Bengals' last 8 home games. So what are we going to get? As I said, give me the Cincinnati Bengals to win this one, 28-23. And right now we can get the Bengals at plus points, plus money. So give me the Bengals to win outright, and give me the Bengals to cover 1.5 points. Give me Cincinnati to win this one, 28-23. And I will see you soon. Bottom of the barrel, week 18, the last week of the season. Be good, be safe. Cincinnati wins. I'll see you next time around. Bye-bye.